Hi everyone, and welcome to one of my latest paintings. I have started a recent collection of pieces focused on meadows within forests. And so here you can see me starting my very first one. And as always, I like to reuse the papers I've had for years. This paper actually was when I was trying to do a fashion design course at college when I was about 18. And I am now much older and I didn't pursue the fashion aspect. So I don't like to waste the paper, and so I'm reusing it for one of my recent pieces. And I know people don't like to reuse their old artwork, but what I've decided recently is wherever I am at my current stage, I like to update whatever blank papers are around that I know I will not be using anymore and have no relevance whatsoever to my current creative process. I am happy to use it. I'm not painting over things that I consider to be very good. This was obviously a training session at college to kind of do a still life of an outfit, so I don't mind getting rid of this because it's not what I do now. I work on painting, and so that's what I'm doing here. So I put a layer of greens and yellows, and now I'm building that up with my delicious collection of pinks. And I really wasn't sure what was going to happen here. I just had in my head that I was thinking meadow, but then I was thinking very rich colors because I love my colors, and I just started dotting it around and seeing what would happen. So I've used two different ways of creating the background. The first was kind of just using the brush and just going along and using the brush only, but this one I've used one of my tools here for spreading this. That's actually a tool used for icing cakes, but I've been using them to really spread my paint across my papers because they're really good for that as well. So I've been putting quite a few different layers here. This process was me focused on painting two pieces of work, because sometimes what I find is that when I'm using paint on one artwork and then I have spare paint, it's really annoying, because if I'd already prepped another piece of paper beside me, I could have started doing another piece of artwork or put the colors onto that piece of artwork, or a piece of paper. So that's what I decided to do here, to at least work on two pieces at a time. So going back and forth and just adding the colors as I go, which helps in one way so that I don't have to think too much about what I'm doing, because it's not that I'm looking at any visual image to help me imagine what I'm painting. This is from in my head what I'm imagining the flower environment to be like. So I'm imagining kind of wildflowers in a wild, unkept environment, and they're really bright, colorful flowers, and it's almost like if you're going for a walk in a forest and you suddenly come upon an open area where there's just all these beautiful flowers. It's almost like a secret place of a secret meadow in a forest or something like that. So that was the idea I was going for and feeling my way along that. I don't paint a lot of flowers, so what I'm using here is my imagination and also just the feel of how the flowers are around each other, and the shapes are quite organic and basically a form of mark making, which I'm very happy to do because that's mainly what I do. I do a lot of mark making. So every painting that I create, I just view as an experiment, like a scientist in a lab. So I'm basically just painting along the way that I feel and just thinking of the techniques that I usually would use when I'm painting as well to try and get the effects that I want. So in this part here, I am imagining creating long stems of flowers, and so I added some paint there and I sprayed some water on it to make it drip. It's really good to use inks for this actually, but I didn't have my inks nearby, so I'm trying to use the acrylics and some of the other tools that I have with paint in them. So as I said, I'm going from one to the other, and here I'm using what is called China markers to get those leafy effects on the piece. You could always use a paintbrush, but I always feel I need to get my mind into the drawing element of things. That's what makes me really happy. If I'm not drawing, then I feel the whole idea of painting can overcome and overtake me. So I always make sure that I add drawing into my pieces, and drawing is what I'm really comfortable with. So as long as I can add that in, I feel it helps me to control the language of what it is that I'm creating. So here I'm just like, right, what colors do I like? What more can I add? And usually you should look at your color wheel for the colors to use so that you don't get things too muddy. One way I know I try to avoid having muddy situations is to let paint dry, or to paint on areas that I already know are dry, kind of thing. Or if I'm really sure I know what color is going to be, if I add whatever other color on top of it, then fine. But also the third part would be, if I was adding one color on top of another one, is not to smush it around, but just to quickly just dab it and just put one quick stroke of the paint down. So there's different ways to approach not smudging your artwork and creating big brown muddy areas. So as always, I said, I went in there and I put some metallic acrylic in there in blue, but now I was drawing with the China marker again, but then I've gone in with some white gesso I'm using here as my white, because or is it acrylic? I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's acrylic, white acrylic I'm using here, and just layering and trying to show the depth of foliage, so it's like it's very rich and luxurious, and then also just to show the variety. So it's a lot of fun, and it's led to me creating quite a lot of other pieces doing this, so I will be showing those in the coming weeks. I feel like I have found something that surprised me, because I don't usually paint flowers or foliage, and I feel really shocked that maybe through the general mark making I'm finally figuring out how to go about creating how I view painting flowers. It's really odd with art, because the more you do, you actually do get better, but it's a lot of work to get to that better stage, whatever the better is in your brain. For me, I always wanted to be able to paint flowers and to do variety, and I don't think I understood how I could do that. But in the general abstracts that I've been doing beforehand, and just general painting every day and things, it's like this felt really strange, because it didn't feel as hard as it should to make it look the way it did. I don't actually finish painting all of this on the camera, but I thought I would show you some of the process of what I've been doing recently, so that when I finally do start showing you some of the other pieces that I've created recently, you will be able to understand what it is I've been doing. So I've also recently, as I said before, opened a shop with 4 other friends of mine here in Glasgow, in Kirkintilloch on the main street. So it's given me a huge incentive to create new artwork all the time, talking to customers, and it's a lot of fun. So this will be going in as part of that collection if I don't sell it first, because there's been quite a bit of interest, but I'm really enjoying myself. And thank you for watching this whole video of this process, and I will be talking to you guys again soon. Thank you, bye.